My name is Andrew Sikov. I'm a co-founder of Data Capital Management, a systematic event-based hedge fund built around big data, novel data sets, and data sources. I'll be your chairman for today. If you have any questions, just grab me, ask whatever you want. Now, before we kick off with the conference, I'd like to share a few things of what to expect here and to give you what we at Data Capital Management see happening with the industry and what are the quick trends. So because we see that the intersection of finance and technology, our viewpoint might be a little bit skewed towards technology, but nevertheless, I want to share it with you. So I believe that we are at the very beginning of a unique environment being set by the convergence of the following three trends. Number one, novel data sets becoming available at increasing speeds. These data sets are asset price relevant information, which drives capital markets. Number two, big data technologies making it possible to make sense of all that new information coming our way. Number three, machine learning finally reaching a state where artificial intelligence can now be scaled. Now, these trends are all at the very beginning of making their ways into investment communities, less so for the quantitative community, but they are already evident. Data deluge is witnessed by a plethora of new data APIs being launched pretty much daily. Like in that room this morning, I saw folks given access to social media data, news data, sentiment data, imagery data, etc., etc., etc. And this trend is here to stay. There will be more of that. We think at Data Capital Management that we're witnessing the birth of what we call an API data economy. This is not news for industries like online marketing. However, for capital markets, I think we're at the very beginning of this onset of big data and the way we use it. Large investment banks like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, they're working on making their data sets that were sitting in silos within each of the banks talk to each other. These data sets are heterogeneous. We're talking about them melding together the credit card data, loan book data, prop trading desk data, and more importantly, they're starting to give access to this new data set to their clients. This is happening. This is not API based yet, but it's going there. Now, when I think what big data means for capital markets, I like to think of a large puzzle analogy. So imagine you have a few puzzle pieces. By looking at each of them, you can probably make some conclusions. So let's say you have a puzzle from here, piece from here, and piece from here. This one looks blue, it looks like a sky. So you make a conclusion, okay, the sky is blue, everything is gray. This one is gray, you can't really make anything out of it, so you probably disregard it. However, you're still missing the bigger picture. Even though your conclusion about this part of the picture is probably correct, you're not seeing what is going on in general. Now, imagine that you had 20 puzzle pieces stuck together here, and you see the storm being formed in the horizon. So the conclusion about blue sky may not necessarily be correct in the global picture. Now, what big data does is it feeds you puzzle pieces, new puzzle pieces at enormous speed in real time, and your ability to sort those pieces, put them in places, becomes very important and a hard task to do. Sometimes those puzzle pieces don't fit anywhere. Sometimes they come from a different puzzle board, and you have to understand that. In this case, it's just noise that you're feeding into your system. How do you deal with it? So your ETL becomes very important. Now this brings us to a second trend that we see in quantitative investing is a lot of new technologies being deployed amongst us, right? So in my mind, technology is really, in our world, is breaking down into two parts. Number one, data storage. Number two, data processing. When we speak about data storage, we have to make sure that all those data puzzle pieces that come our way are being stored on a large table. Nothing gets lost, falls off the table, rolls under the carpet, and if it does, there are processes to recover that, and you shouldn't worry about it. So if the machine breaks down, there is a process to recover the data and not to worry about it. We also have to make sure that these puzzles are not just in a large, gigantic pile where you can't really see what's in the middle, you can extract the puzzle piece that you want from the middle. It becomes very complicated. You want to lay down the table, have access to it very quickly, have high reliability of data, as we say, high performance, and most importantly, high availability of data. So we see to that end relatively new technologies for capital markets like NoSQL databases making their way into what we do. We're speaking about MongoDB, Cassandra, Amazon storage, etc. And I'm excited to hear some of my colleagues speak about it at the panels later on. Now, speaking about data processing, which is really important, what do you do with with that enormous amount of puzzles coming your way? You have to do something. One way about it is to hire a person that is really good at sorting the puzzles and making them together, but there's a new approach called parallel compute processing where people are just doing it in parallel and then combine their resources. Now, taking a step back, what this conference is about? This conference is about keeping an open mind to new unique data sets. And I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of new data providers, about new technologies to make sense of those data sets, about new modeling techniques, and new decision-making tools. And one of my colleagues, Jay Keane, will be speaking at a panel about that, which I'm also looking forward to. With that, let me introduce our next speaker, our first keynote address, Fabio Mercurio, who's head of quantitative analytics at Bloomberg. Fabio, you here? Here, please welcome him to the stage. Thank you.